Ever since I started my little craft channel here, my hubs has been asking me for a crocheted beer can outfit of some kind. I am finally getting around to it and starting today with this epic beer can granny square skirt, baby. I wanted to make something really wearable so I could wear it out and about, you know, to like a very fancy barbecue or a brew fest, because you know I'm the belle of the ball. And as you can see here, I freaking killed it. It hangs pretty naturally with a bit of an A-line shape, so it's actually kind of flattering, I think. I'm also using a whole new technique I came up with that makes the labels into actual granny squares, which will finish exactly like a true granny square. Meaning you can use it in any granny square pattern, and I would fucking love it if you did that. I'd be so proud. Oh my god. Of course, for the full look, I made a matching beer can cowboy hat, which I will put a link to that into the description for you. And at some point, I plan to remake an entire same outfit in regular granny squares. So look out for that, because we just can't have too many granny squares, am I right? You know you love it. So for this project, you will need some cotton yarn, and I'll talk about that in a moment. A size I crochet hook, or 5.5 millimeters. You could go down maybe one, like to an H. A paper hole punch and a pair of regular old utility scissors will work just fine. For my skirt, I wanted to use cotton because I wanted it to hang nicer, hang nicely as it could. Using a bigger hook is a little on the looser side, which I did want. These are all munched up, which I will explain later because I had some design lessons from the future where I actually had to cut things apart, but I'll explain that later. But anyway, I designed these a little differently because I want to make this whole outfit, as I might have mentioned already, in regular granny squares. So I had to make sure that these match the size and everything, and also that they would come together like granny squares when we put them together, right? They have to act like granny squares, where my normal squares, they're similar, and sometimes I say they're granny squares, but I know they're not. These, as you can see on the edges, are granny squares at the edges, okay? Then we will actually join as you go, because now we have a granny square. And also that means you could use this for any granny square project. I would be so excited if you made like a beer can sweater. That'd be amazing. Please do that. Please, somebody. And then tag me on Facebook or Instagram, please. Anyway, okay. So yeah, now I will talk to you about how I decided how much yarn to get and how well those calculations worked out for me this time. Here is my little setup for doing my design, just so I could picture the layout. I made it 7 squares across diagonally, and then I ended up changing the length quite a bit, but it was going to be like 6 rows, okay? Now, what I did was I worked up a square and I pulled it apart and I measured the threads for yardage this time rather than weighing them like I did last time. So the can edging is the tan, and this is how many yards I need for one, and then this is total, okay? And then for the halves would be around the waist, or the half, and for some reason I did them in 3 colors rather than just doing them in one solid color the first time, so I had to figure that out too. This down here in blue, just disregard. That's for when I do it with normal granny squares, not with beer cans. So yeah, round 2 brown, that's again 7.75 yards times 42 squares. That's how I came up with that number. Okay, and then I totaled it all up and figured out what to buy. Oh, these are the balls I used over here, and then I could figure out from that how many balls to order, yada yada yada. We'll show you on the actual skirt some of the changes I made, but this was my initial plan. I don't have here the measurements, but I took a diagonal measurement of the squares, obviously, to figure out how many I would need to go around my luscious hips. It actually fit perfectly, so I will get into that. I don't know. I'll talk about that later, I guess. And those are my calculations. Now we're going to prep the cans just a little differently than the usual way we do for the beer can hats, which you can find on my channel, by the way. There's a whole bunch of them. First, cut the labels carefully from the cans. By the way, as with all my other videos, you can clearly see that the can is not sharp at all, except for maybe a little poking of sharp corners possibly. I have never been cut doing this, ever. Now I will cut these into 3.5-inch squares. Then trim off any rough edges and round out all the corners. This time we're going to flatten the labels out by gently rolling them backwards. Kind of corner to corner worked really well for me. This will get our granny square skirt to lay nice and flat, just like it should. Okay, now we're going to put our holes in, and this also is going to be a little different than we're used to here. We're going to put only 3 holes per side, and we're going to put them a little further in than usual, about 1/2 inch. This is going to make it more granny square looking because the stitches will be longer. It'll just look right. Okay, crochet time. Now we're going to work single crochets around a certain kind of way this time. We're going to start in a corner and work 5 single crochets into that corner hole. Now usually I like to start in the corner stitch, so I would only do 3, but we're going to need to work into the corner stitch, so it's better if it's not a joint spot. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm starting here with 4 or 5 single crochets into the corner. Okay, I'm going to chain 1 between each of my groupings. So I'm going to chain 1 and then 3 single crochets into the side hole and then chain 1 again. Now the loops of the stitches might seem too loose, but that will be okay. They need to stretch out a little bit anyway because our holes are so far apart. Pull your loops above the edge every time. And repeat. Now work round 2 like a regular granny square with chain 2 between 2 groupings at the corners and chain 1 between the side groupings. I am using the join as you go method, where instead of the chain 1 between groups, I'm going to single crochet into another square's chain space. Okay, here I'm actually using half doubles, but I'll explain that later. But really, to start out with, use single crochet. So I just continue adding my squares on the diagonal, working in the rounds, like diamond-shaped rounds instead of straight rows. And when you get 2 rounds that are joined into a ring, then try it on to make sure it fits right. Okay, and mine happened to fit just perfectly, so I'm gonna show you that. I just wanted to check in with this really quickly. I'll try to talk loud because I don't have my microphone, but here I am on round 3, okay? And I did 2 rounds, and then I put them together, and I made sure they fit my hips. And these actually fit perfect. I can't believe it. How often does that happen? So I'm really happy. And then now these are the shorties I'm going to wear with it. These little pantaloony shorts that I like to wear under skirts. So I'll show you how to make one day. Upcycle style. But anyway, I mean, come on. This might actually be cute. I can't believe it. Okay, so on the top what we're going to do is put in half squares and then some kind of drawstring or something. And then I want it to go more A-line. And I'm going to make them flare out by using taller joining stitches. and that should work. I don't know. It might look a little weird, but I just want it to be just a little, I don't want it to be tubular, you know. I just wanted to show you how I tried it on, and I freaking love it. This is going to be so epic. I cannot wait. What I actually end up with is 2 rounds joined with singles and then 2 rounds joined with half doubles to help it flare a little, like I mentioned. I was going to try to do doubles too, but I decided the half doubles were enough, but you could definitely go that route if you need more flare. Now we're going to make our half granny square for the waistline. Start with a chain 4 loop, then into that ring work 3 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet, and then turn. Now into that end stitch, work 3 double crochet, chain 1, and then work as a normal granny square to the other corner. Just use that last double crochet as your corner spot. For round 3, just continue to work as a normal granny square using that end stitch to work in. So we are going to join just like before with a single crochet into the other square's chain space. You have to work that first double and then join with a single, and then you can continue just like before. Trying it on. This is my skirt. It's not quite right, okay? I still think it looks too straight. And what I decided, because I have these little pantaloon shorties I want to wear under it, that what I need to do is move the waistband down to here. And that'll keep the flare a little higher like it should be. Right, can you see? And then my little shorties will peek out like they should, and the shape should be a little better. But hello, hello, hello. And then I gotta make my matching cowboy hat, but I mean, you don't have to be jealous. You could make your own. And yes, I do have an event. I'll wear this. For the drawstring, I just made a long chain the size of my waist plus about a foot. I think I could have made it just a slightly longer. And then I went back with a slip stitch down the whole thing, and then I tied a knot at each end. So I wanted to explain what happened here with the waistline. I did make it shorter from the top, which was a huge pain in the ass, which is why I had to cut away some of the squares, because I'd started at the top and all the joints are from the top down. And anyway, good to avoid that if you, but then if you don't have to do that, but then it was perfect. That really worked well. So I just wanted to show what I did. Initially, I had made these in multicolors, which was a huge pain in the butt. And so when I redid it, I did it in a solid color, which I highly recommend because it was way, way easier. And so I made the half of squares, attached them with the single, okay? And then I did a single crochet around. Now it seems like I took it in a little. So I think I decreased at the point a little bit, you know, and then I decreased maybe in the middle too, because it was pretty bunchy. And so if you want to, if it's a little too bunchy, definitely decrease a little bit, you know, you don't want too much, but just enough to make it so it's not super bunchy when you pull the cord. Yeah, so I did single, double, and single. And then I just wove these in every 3 stitches for the cord. And then I put a knot in the end so it wouldn't pull through, but it's pretty good. It's just almost too short, but it worked great. It stayed in place. It didn't come apart. I thought it fit really well. So for the hem, what I ended up doing for the hem is, because again, I wanted it to go further out, at this part where I had joined it with the half double, I did 2 singles into each half double and then 1 single into the tip and the corners. So that I just wanted to make sure that it really spread out here, you know, as much as it could. And then at the outer corners, I just did 3 singles. So put 3 here to make it pointy. And I was worried it would curl up too much, and I don't think it really did. In fact, it didn't really. It smooshed a little when I danced around. But mostly it was in great. Yeah, see, I bent that. That's why I kept bending my leg and kicking it up, but mostly I didn't sit down in it or anything, so I mostly kept it pretty nice. But I love it. Please don't be jealous, okay? You can make your own. Don't be jealous. Just make your own. I'm sorry, I can't help it that I'm so fucking epic.